It is 8:47 on a Sunday night, and you are standing in your kitchen in Minneapolis with one sock damp from a spill near the dishwasher. Your phone lights up beside a muted green notebook. Marcus needs $18,000 until a client pays him. Before you can answer, a second message appears. That is less than 2% of what you have. The exact figure is written 6 inches from your hand, $1,083,744. You told Marcus once. One night. One milestone. Now the request is no longer about whether you can help. It is about what your friendship supposedly entitles him to ask. And Marcus is only the third person who taught you that lesson. At 42, you manage procurement systems for a regional medical equipment distributor. Your annual salary is $146,000. You drive a 2013 hatchback with a rear window that whistles above 60 miles per hour. Your townhouse has one bathroom upstairs and a narrow garage that requires folding the passenger side mirror before pulling in. Nothing visible says millionaire. The number lives in 4 places. Retirement and taxable investment accounts total $760,610. Home equity contributes another $238,400. Cash reserves and short-term savings add $84,734. Subtract the remaining mortgage, already reflected in the equity figure, and the total in the green notebook is $1,083,744. It did not arrive through an inheritance, a lottery ticket, or a perfect stock pick. At 28, your net worth was about $38,000. You increased workplace contributions when your salary rose, collected the fictional employer contributions available in this story, and added money to a diversified taxable account. Across 14 years, the modeled average contribution to investment accounts is roughly $2,322 per month, lower during the first years, higher later. A hypothetical 7% annual return fills the gap between total contributions and the final modeled investment balance. 7% is not a promise. It is a storytelling assumption. The house added equity through a down payment, principal reduction, and assumed appreciation. Cash accumulated because you stopped treating every unspent dollar as permission to upgrade something. The worn wallet stayed. The hatchback stayed. The green notebook changed. The 14-year path is not smooth. 1 year, a water heater and a roof assessment reduced the taxable transfer for 5 months. Another year, a larger bonus goes mostly into the portfolio. Market declines temporarily erase more than you contributed, later recoveries make the same routine look smarter than it felt while prices were falling. The model averages those uneven years into one monthly figure because the arithmetic needs a readable bridge. Your real behavior is simpler: increase the automatic amount when income rises, reduce it when the household genuinely needs room, then restore it before the lower contribution becomes a new lifestyle. No single year creates the result. The system survives enough imperfect years to let time participate. At first, reaching 7 figures feels like a private correction to an old fear. Your father had measured safety by the number of paychecks between today and trouble. You begin measuring it by how many decisions can survive a bad month. Then people start asking. Some ask because they care. Some because they are comparing. Some because a number would make their own request easier to justify. Most cannot explain what decision they need your exact net worth to make. That becomes the rule. Information should follow responsibility. If someone shares responsibility for your home, your future, your taxes, your legal obligations, or a financial decision you have hired them to help make, the number may be necessary. If they carry none of that responsibility, curiosity alone is not a reason. The first person who proves this is not a scammer or a stranger. It is someone sitting 8 feet from your desk. Leah Chen is good at her job. She remembers vendor deadlines, notices when a forecast is built on wishful thinking, and can make a tense conference room laugh without embarrassing anyone. She also keeps score. At lunch, she knows who received the larger bonus. At company events, she notices which director replaced a car. When a coworker buys a house, Leah can estimate the down payment before the appetizers arrive. For years, this seems harmless. A personality quirk. Then you make the mistake of converting a broad answer into an exact one. You are eating noodles from a paper container in the break room when she asks whether aggressive investing has finally made you a millionaire. The question is delivered like a joke. You are proud, tired, and unprepared. So you tell her the total from the previous quarter. Her face barely changes. She says congratulations. She asks how you did it. You describe automation, a modest house, and time. The conversation lasts 4 minutes. The number remains much longer. 2 weeks later, the department discusses salary adjustments. You mention that your responsibilities have expanded across 3 systems. Leah laughs and says you are the last person in the room who needs a raise. She means it lightly. The finance director still approves the adjustment. Nothing measurable is taken from you. Yet something private has entered a professional conversation where it does not belong. A raise is compensation for work. Your net worth is the accumulated result of thousands of earlier choices. One does not cancel the other. But once Leah knows the number, she begins interpreting ordinary decisions through it. You decline an expensive team weekend, and she calls you disciplined. You order the cheaper entree, and she calls it millionaire behavior. You disagree about a project budget, and for half a second you wonder whether she sees analysis or privilege. The problem is not that Leah becomes cruel. She becomes a narrator. Your private balance sheet gives her a new explanation for everything you do. This is why the first person who should not know your exact net worth is the coworker who uses money as a ranking system. Not every coworker. Not the business partner who legitimately shares financial risk with you. The specific person who cannot receive a number without turning it into position. You can share the method without sharing the scoreboard. I automate investing. I keep my fixed costs manageable. I am on track for my goals. Each answer can be honest. None gives another employee permission to price your labor, your ambition, or your lunch. The first proof is small. No friendship ends. No promotion disappears. You simply notice that a number can change the lens before it changes the relationship. Then the number reaches family, where the lens carries history. Daniel Brooks is your cousin. When you were 12, he taught you how to patch a bicycle tire. When you were 24 and moving apartments in February, he arrived before sunrise with a borrowed truck and 2 cups of coffee. He is not a villain. He is also convinced that his neighborhood breakfast restaurant will work if he can secure the right location. At a summer cookout, Daniel shows you photos of an empty storefront. The brick is painted cream. Morning light reaches the front windows. He has menu sketches, supplier estimates, and a folder containing several pages you cannot evaluate in a backyard conversation. Then he asks for $35,000. You ask how he arrived at that amount. Daniel says it covers the lease deposit, equipment gap, and 3 months of operating room. You ask what happens if permits take longer. He answers quickly, then more slowly. Finally he says the sentence beneath the proposal. It is barely over 3% of your net worth. You never told Daniel. You told your sister that you had crossed 7 figures. She told your mother because she was proud. Your mother gave Daniel an approximate number because family information rarely stays inside the room where it begins. Daniel has converted your entire financial life into 1%. The calculation is arithmetically close and emotionally incomplete. Net worth is assets minus liabilities. It is not a checking account balance. Your total includes retirement money with a long horizon, a taxable portfolio exposed to market changes, equity inside the house where you live, and cash already assigned to emergencies and planned expenses. More important, affordability is not obligation. If you can survive losing $35,000, that does not make the loss wise. If you love Daniel, that does not make you qualified to underwrite a restaurant. If the business succeeds, family dinners may acquire an investor. If it fails, every holiday may contain an unpaid balance even when no one mentions it. You decline the investment. You offer to pay for several hours with an independent small business accountant so Daniel can pressure test the plan. He hears help. He also hears no. 3 months later, your mother needs an expensive dental procedure that her current coverage does not fully address. You contribute $4,800 because you want to, after reviewing your own cash plan. Daniel learns about that too. Now your choices look inconsistent from the outside. You would not fund his dream, but you helped with her procedure. The exact net worth encourages him to believe generosity should be governed by available capacity. Your system says generosity should be governed by values, limits, and the specific relationship. So you write a policy in the green notebook. Family help is decided as a gift, not a loan, unless formal professional documents make the arrangement clear. The amount must fit a limit chosen before the request arrives. You do not invest in a business you cannot independently evaluate. You do not disclose the total portfolio to prove that a boundary is necessary. The policy is not universal advice. It is your attempt to stop each emergency from rewriting your financial architecture. This is the second person who should not know the exact number, the relative who treats capacity as duty. They may be loving. They may have helped you before. Their need may be real. None of those facts requires access to the complete balance sheet. You can say what you are willing to do. You do not have to reveal everything you could theoretically afford. That distinction becomes harder with an old friend, because friendship does not arrive with a contract and rarely survives being reduced to one. Marcus Reed met you during your first year after college. You shared a 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. He taught you to cook 3 meals from one grocery bag. You helped him study for a licensing exam after his first attempt went badly. For 15 years, the friendship feels balanced even when the money is not. Marcus works as an independent commercial electrician. Some years are strong. Other years contain clients who pay late, a van that needs repair, and tax bills that arrive after the profitable months have been forgotten. The first time he needs help, you cover part of a repair. He repays you. The second time, you help with a deposit after a contract is delayed. He repays most of it and apologizes for the rest. You decide the friendship matters more than the difference. Then, on the night you cross 7 figures, you tell him the exact number. You are sitting on his back steps with 2 bottles of sparkling water. The porch light attracts small insects. Marcus raises his bottle and says you deserve it. The moment feels safe because he knew you before the number. 10 months later, you are back in the kitchen at 8:47 on Sunday night. Marcus needs $18,000 until a client pays. He has a signed invoice and a believable explanation. He also has a pattern that your previous help may have made easier to continue. His message says the amount is less than 2% of what you have. The precise calculation is about 1.66%. That percentage makes the request appear small by choosing the largest possible denominator. It does not include the probability of repayment. It does not include the next request. It does not include what happens when you need to enforce a deadline against someone whose children know your name. You call Marcus at 10:12. He sounds exhausted. There is no dramatic manipulation. No threat. Just the confidence of someone who believes your ability to absorb the loss should reduce the seriousness of asking. You tell him you cannot make the loan. You can give him $2,500 without expecting repayment. You can spend Saturday helping him list receivables, call clients, and separate the business shortfall from the household budget. You can help once. You cannot become the revolving line of credit behind his company. Marcus goes quiet. He says he would do it for you. You believe him. You also know that he does not have the same amount to risk, which means the promise cannot be tested under equal conditions. The next month, he invites you to fewer weekend gatherings. Messages become shorter. The friendship does not end, but it acquires a locked room. This is the stress test hidden inside financial privacy. Keeping the number private can prevent entitlement from forming, but it cannot guarantee that a boundary will feel fair. Once the number is known, saying no may sound like a judgment about the person rather than a decision about the money. The third person who should not know is the friend who repeatedly makes your balance sheet part of their emergency plan. Not the friend who experiences one disaster. Not the person you freely choose to support. The person for whom your capacity gradually becomes part of their planning. Your net worth should increase your ability to be generous. It should not silently enroll you as an institution. That evening, you close the notebook and place the worn wallet on top of it. One object says you can help. The other reminds you that helping is still a choice. The next lesson is different. It comes from someone who may eventually deserve the number, but not yet. Maya Torres asks about money on your 9th date. You are walking back from a small neighborhood theater. It has started raining, and the paper bag holding leftover popcorn is turning dark at the bottom. She says financial stability matters to her. A previous partner hid debt until they were discussing a shared apartment. She does not want to repeat the experience. Her concern is legitimate. The timing still matters. You tell Maya your income range. You say you have no consumer debt, still have a mortgage, invest consistently, and maintain cash reserves. You explain that you want a relationship where both people disclose obligations before sharing housing or signing anything together. You do not give the exact net worth. Maya asks why. You tell her the truth. The number has changed several relationships. You want financial transparency to grow at the same speed as shared responsibility. You are willing to discuss habits, values, recurring obligations, and future goals now. Account-level detail comes when the relationship is making decisions that require it. She nods. Then she tells you about her own financial habits without giving you a grand total. The conversation becomes mutual instead of investigative. 16 months later, the two of you are considering living together. This time, the dining table holds statements, mortgage information, insurance details, and the green notebook. You both disclose what you own, what you owe, what you support, and what commitments already exist. The exact number is no longer a trophy or a test. It is an input to a shared decision. This is the nuance the title cannot fit. The fourth person is not your partner. A spouse or committed partner sharing a home, legal commitments, dependents, and a future may need complete transparency. The person who should not automatically receive the number is a new romantic partner who wants proof of wealth before trust, reciprocity, and responsibility exist. Never does not have to mean forever. It can mean never under pressure. Never as proof of love. Never before the other person is willing to offer the same level of disclosure. Never before the information is connected to a real decision rather than curiosity or status. The financial payoff of privacy is not secrecy. It is timing. Because you did not use the number to impress Maya, you get to learn what she values before money can perform on your behalf. Because she does not demand access, you learn that a boundary can be respected without becoming a test. The number enters the relationship only after the relationship has built a place for it. That is what information following responsibility looks like. But there is one room where responsibility is almost impossible to identify, because you may never know who is standing inside it. 6 days after updating the green notebook, you take a screenshot of the tracking app. The image is clean. One line has finally crossed 7 figures. Your first instinct is not vanity. It is relief. You want someone to understand what 14 years of ordinary decisions produced. You open an online personal finance forum and begin a post. The account uses a nickname, but the nickname resembles one you used for an old running club. Your post history mentions your industry. A photograph from the previous winter includes the sign of a neighborhood bike shop. Another comment reveals your age within a year. None of those details is a password. Together, they form a shape. Public social posts, commercial data sources, and public records can be combined into profiles. An exact net worth screenshot does not grant access to an account, and it should not be described as if it does. What it can do is announce that the profile may be worth more attention, from aggressive sales pitches, impersonation attempts, tailored investment scams, or people who simply enjoy carrying private information into public rooms. You crop the screenshot. Then you stop. The useful part of the story is not the exact total. The useful part is the system, automatic contributions, controlled housing costs, time, and the refusal to increase every expense after every raise. So you write about the system instead. You remove the employer clue. You do not post account names, balance screens, home equity estimates, or the exact age at which the total appeared. You review privacy settings. You make sure financial accounts use strong, unique passwords and multi-factor authentication. Those steps do not make you invisible. They reduce unnecessary information. The fifth person who should never know your exact net worth is the online acquaintance who knows enough fragments to feel familiar while remaining outside your real circle of responsibility. They may be a friendly commenter. A former classmate connected through 3 platforms. A stranger offering congratulations. The point is not to assume malicious intent. The point is that digital information can be copied, searched, forwarded, and separated from the context in which you shared it. A conversation in a kitchen can be remembered incorrectly. A screenshot can be remembered perfectly. Yet privacy has a hidden cost too. Building wealth can already feel abstract. If you tell no one, the milestones may arrive without witnesses. You sit with a number that represents years of discipline, and the room remains ordinary. The desire to share is not automatically arrogance. Sometimes you want acknowledgement from someone who understands what the journey required. The answer is not isolation. It is a smaller circle with clearer reasons. Maya knows because your lives are becoming financially connected. A qualified tax professional may know the relevant details because the work requires them. A trusted legal or financial professional may need information for a specific decision. A lender or institution may require verified information for a transaction you choose to pursue. Those are not audiences. They are defined relationships with defined purposes. Leah wanted a ranking. Daniel wanted capacity to become duty. Marcus wanted your balance sheet to absorb uncertainty. An early partner could have wanted proof before reciprocity. The internet can preserve a detail without preserving your intent. 5 different people. 5 different mechanisms. The same boundary. An exact number should travel only as far as the responsibility attached to it. At 10:26, you return to Marcus's message. The dishwasher has stopped. The damp sock is still uncomfortable. The green notebook remains open beside the worn wallet. You type that you cannot make the loan. You repeat the help you can offer. Then you place the phone face down before the typing indicator appears. In the notebook, beneath $1,083,744, you write 3 questions. What decision must this person make with the number? What responsibility do we share? What happens if the information leaves this room? If the answers are unclear, the exact number stays on the page. This week, notice the next time someone asks what you are worth, or the next time you feel tempted to volunteer it. Try replacing the total with the truth they actually need, your boundary, your method, your goal, or the amount you are willing to commit. Privacy is not a performance of poverty. Transparency is not unlimited access. The purpose of building wealth is to create better choices, not to let one number renegotiate every relationship around you. So if your net worth can change the role another person assigns you, who has earned the responsibility that should come with knowing it?